Thanks very much, Sally. And thanks to Environmental Population. And thanks again to Sally and to Lisa for putting this wonderful editorial in the 2010 spring already, well, maybe. So I didn't realize you can write so well. I thought I could, but 3 brains are better than 1. What we're going to talk about today is, actually I changed the title on my website. I put burning money, and you see why momentarily. I'm going to talk about a domestic solar hot water installation at my own home, which was done summer last year. It's not photovoltaic. I'm not generating electricity. I'm not generating hot air, except when I speak. It's not a heat pump. It's not all the other things. It's just a simple solar water domestic heating installation. Okay, that's what it is. I've prepared a case study. What my organization does is primarily 3 things. I look around at properties and give independent advice, with a big word, independent. Now, most vendors will give you the survey for free. The reason for that, because they want to sell. So do I. We all want to sell. But the independent consultant, who we charge for his work, will look at things that the vendor either omitted deliberately or forgot about it and highlight them. Sometimes they can be a minor thing. Other times it could be a showstopper. So that's one thing which I do. For private homes and SMEs, that's my market. Secondly, I do design and specification of solar installations and heat pumps. And then I have experts who will check the specification, agree or disagree with me, and then we modify it and then give a final quote. And then I have a number of certified installers who go and do the work. You don't imagine at my ripe old age I would climb on roofs and do all this crawling into spaces in the loft. So this is the second thing we do. The third thing we do, we've just launched courses in solar ecology and renewable energy and ecopsychology. For those of you who never heard the name ecopsychology, it's to do with our attitude to the environment. And it's not about brainwashing, but it's about how we treat our surroundings. As Sally said before, whether it's office, whether it's home, whether it's the garden, and all the rest of it. What I'm going to concentrate today is telling you my own personal story, because I felt that if I'm selling solar and renewable energy, and to say that I have not done it would be, to say the least, hypocritic on my side. So I would not be representing the same thing that when I practice as a naturopath, I actually take my own tablets that I prescribe to myself, prescribe to others. Otherwise, if I don't take my own medication, how can I preach it to others? So that's basically just a little pep talk. So, right. Our gas and electricity costs, as you can see here, have been escalating. We were a family of 5. My 2 sons, the eldest and the middle son, left home. They are married with their own kids. But at the time when my son was at home, the eldest one, he had several computers, including a server. We are all in IT. My wife has a computer, obviously. I have a computer. My youngest son at home has a computer. And generally speaking, we are energy hungry. But we also had a drafty and a leaky home. It's an old home, and I had to retrofit. Obviously, there's a limit what you can do in an old home. You cannot start from scratch. You cannot build it like a Scandinavian home, which is so well insulated, you've got tiny need for heating. That's not the case here. But I've done whatever I could reasonably. And I wanted at the same time to see what I can do with the CO2, okay, because I was alarmed about it. We'll see a bit later on. So I contacted, in the usual way, 1 and 2 and 3 vendors, suppliers of solar systems. I did a little bit of a specification. At that time, of course, I was a greenhorn. I'm still a greenhorn because I believe in green environment. And I'm still learning, so we all find our way. It's no point coming to show you all the certifications. No matter what we do, we still know this week more than what we did last week. You know. So I did a bit of homework, but not being proud. Sometimes I am, but not in this case when it comes to money. I sent my quote analysis to two competent individuals. One is a guy who's got all the certifications after his name. He's done everything that can be done in the area of heating and ventilation and gas and electricity, a real expert. And then I sent it to a certified plumber who actually installed solar systems. And I did my own analysis. I got the three quotes and sent it to them for comment and asked them what did they think about my conclusion. And the three of them, and the third one, less experienced, but I value this feedback, they all came back with the same kind of ballpark figure and said that my analysis more or less was right and it looks okay. So based on this, I went to the next stage. I went to look, we'll see a few pictures in a minute. I looked at it in my mind and I thought, where are we going to put it, okay? Luckily, we have a south-facing home. But we have a flat roof, not just on top of the kitchen, which is hidden somewhat by the neighbor structure and by trees. And also it leaks every now and then. Every 2 or 3 years it likes to have a leak. So I have to fix it. I didn't want to put a solar system over there. But the best place, to all opinions, to all the experts, was on top of our 4th bedroom, which is in the attic, the loft conversion. So we went up there, and you can see it was a challenge with the distance and how to route the pipe. And that was the challenge we've had. And Peter, my solar, Peter Bass, using the equipment from Navitron, both our business partners, we work together with them. He did a bit of acrobatic. Luckily, he's much lighter and younger, more energetic than I am, so he could easily climb on the roof and enjoy himself a nice sunny day. And that's what we decided to do that. Okay? Now, just a bit of, we won't get, this presentation is not technical. I've got a technical spec sheet. If anybody wants after the presentation, I'll be happy to send it. No, they're not trade secrets, it's all open. So I'll send it to you if you want a spec sheet. We have a real challenge because the airing cupboard was an old-fashioned airing cupboard for a 3-bedroom semi-detached, where people in those days perhaps didn't wash as much, I don't know, but it was a small airing cupboard with a small cylinder. I think we had 120 liter, far inadequate. So we didn't want to break the whole airing cupboard, the whole bathroom, and to redo it. That would have cost a lot of money. So we had a challenge how to fit this cylinder 1.5 meter high by 300 millimeter diameter. It's about 144 liters, okay? The reason why I put 3 or 4 occupants, although we had 3 of us, my 2 elder sons left home, we have, they're coming to us and staying with us sometimes. So it's 3 to 4, you know, my wife and I and the youngest and somebody else. And we got a condensing boiler, which was fitted about 4 or 5 years ago, which is okay. We had a few problems with it. It misbehaved in the coldest day we had a few weeks back. You can imagine how I felt about it. So, yeah. So the outlet conditions, I said it's an old-fashioned property. No cavity wall, so there's nothing to insulate. I'm not going to put cladding. It's going to cost thousands, you know. And the idea was basically that the 6 months during April to September, 6 or 7 months, I would have almost free hot water. And what it means is very simple. There is sufficient sunshine. It doesn't have to be heat, by the way. You can have minus 20 degrees, and it's sunny outside, you get your solar water. So the idea was that I would cut my hot water consumption from using the boiler, i.e. gas and electricity to operate the pump, obviously, and the controls and everything else, by about 50 to 60%. And the idea here, for 6 months, 6-7 months in a year in England, where I come from in Israel, it's 12 months in a year. They hardly use electricity to heat up the water. Maybe 10% of the year they need the same thing in Spain and Portugal, southern Italy, the Amalfi Coast, where we went on a cruise ship a few weeks back. You know, Greece and all these lovely places on the way. Some of them have solar panels. The majority do not. I'm flabbergasted. I thought that almost every rooftop will have a solar panel because the weather conditions are ideal, absolutely. And, yeah. But be it as it may, we live in the UK. That was the idea, you know, April, September, certainly August. And the idea was that the rest of the year, 10 to 15% possibly, like we had a few days recently, we had, I think, a couple of hours sunshine, that would contribute. Now, how does it work? In simple terms, if the solar water heated by the panel, coming down to the tank underneath, to the cylinder, and it's circulating. Yeah, it gets to a certain temperature, starts circulating, so it doesn't overheat. And the boiler comes on. So the solar water says to the boiler, stop, I'm here. I'm already 55 degrees or 60 degrees, whatever you turn your thermostat to or your control on the cylinder. It must have it about 60, 65%. You don't want to burn, you scald yourself, basically, okay? And you need a little bit for 60 degrees for Legionella, but it's not really a major issue. So that's how it works. So what happens typically in the summer or in the spring, the boiler would come on in the morning, in the usual time. I put it very early in the morning because sometimes my wife has to go to network meetings, B&I, poor thing. I don't know if she does it. She get up so early. I'm not good first thing in the morning myself. But she does it, and she wants a shower first thing in the morning. So the boiler would come on for about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and then the solar water takes over. And then the tank remains heated because we put better insulation. We'll retain the heat for several hours. And if we've run out, the recovery time of the boiler is about 20 minutes. And then either we put the electricity on for the electrical element, or we use the boiler. The boiler is cheaper because electricity is more expensive. Okay? And that's how it works. So basically, the boiler would almost be dormant during the summer. It might come on for 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes, and that's it. And most of the time, not at all. So I've already gone through one summer. I put the system in June, July last year. We'll come to the mathematics in a minute. I already got over £400 rebate from E.ON, and I'm on target at the moment. At the moment, in fact, it looks too good. I'm getting a bit suspicious. So we'll look at the figures in a minute. Now, I was paying about $2,400. It's a lot. Okay, we are larger than average, 4-bedroom detached, with a huge kitchen and a study and a utility room, and my own office is the conservatory, and I look to the squirrel as I work and to the birds, and sometimes I see a fox coming by. I don't let them near the PC, mind you. So my bill obviously was quite horrendous, about £204. It kept climbing up. So one of the things I did, I kicked my son out. I said, you go get married, take your computers with you, and you're going to cut electricity. And like a good boy, he argued with me for about a year. Eventually, he succumbed. He left. The second one, I told him to stay, actually, but he decided to get married against my better advice, and he left home also. But be it as it may, to cut a long story short, E.ON wrote to me several months ago, said to me, your monthly direct debit has gone down from 204 to 175. And a few weeks later, I got another letter to say, go down to 125. And how do they work it out? They get this magic crystal ball. I hope they're right about this winter. I don't want to have another shock of increase when I finish the season. But they calculate, they had a weather forecast, and they see your pattern. Because I was with British Gas before, God help me. It took me about 9 months to get out of them. They can block you if you want to move to another provider, and they object. They can block you. At the end, I had to ring the ombudsman, and I actually went to court. I filled out court papers to get out of British Gas. I threatened them in the end with legal action. But after 9 months of struggle, I managed to get out of the ropes of British Gas, went to E.ON. And they know your history. So they look at your history, they put your current situation into a computer model, and they work it out. And incidentally, on a national scale, how do they work out our electricity demand and peaks and troughs? Winter, summer, spring, and all that. They are sophisticated computer models, and this is why they try to make sure that when we have very cold weather, or very hot weather, if you get air conditioning, we have air conditioning also, I forgot to tell you, that the system does not run dry, and you ring up your EDF or provider, and they tell them you have no electricity. We had that too, by the way, because of maintenance work. So the idea here, they work out the model, and they worked it out that my fee should go down to that level. They'll evaluate it after this winter, see what happens, exceptionally cold winter. Whereas my family in Israel had 20 degrees, we were more like minus 20 here. So the idea was that. Now, number two, what I did a whole makeover. I have over 50 light bulbs at home, conventional light bulbs, which were hungry, they were consuming a lot of electricity. I didn't like the idea. Luckily, I went to my local dealer, GFE, and I worked a deal with them. I asked them, what can you do for me, LED or CFL? Compact fluorescent light. And on the scale, LED is A, is the best from energy efficiency. CFL is B, but it's not bad. Believe me, B is better than D or E or whatever. So they got me a good offer, and I spent about 320, I can't remember, it was six pounds per bulb. Normally they were 8, 10, 12 pounds a bulb. The difficulty I had, because of the gap in the ceiling lights, was slightly smaller for ordinary bulbs by something like 0.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter, for those of you who can imagine, just one line. So I had to really struggle to put them in, to really push them. I nearly, cut my finger. That was at the end I had to call somebody who had stronger fingers than I am, seriously, to actually stick them in. But we managed to do that. So I cut that. I bought curtains, put curtains all over the windows, which were not with curtains before, to cut the draft also, because I did double glazing 20, 25 years ago, and some of the windows need replacement. But I decided to leave it off for the moment. Put curtains, it's cheaper, for this stage. And what I worked out, okay, that based on my saving, the return on investment, if I save approximately £79 a month times 12 is approximately £900, which is the figure here, okay? And the system cost me everything what I've just said, the solar energy for heating domestic water, my light bulbs, my curtains, whatever I did, came to approximately £3,500. Very cheap, isn't it? Please bear in mind that the highest quote I got only for the solar heating was 4,800 from a leading installer in the UK. I'm not going to say the name. A leading installer has got excellent equipment, good quality, fantastic reputation. So that was it. So I moved on further. So you can see that I'm on target for 4 years return on investment. I worked up a bit of figure for you, taking into account maintenance. Most people don't have maintenance into the equation. I actually worked it out. So I'm going to say between 13 to 19,000 pounds in the next 20 years, because the life cycle is about 20, 25 years. So when I put burn money, that means that if you do not put solar installation, you're going to burn money. You are throwing away, and with increasing prices, you will be burning money away. There's no question about it. This is my CO2 emission beforehand, 5.46 before solar installation, calculated from the Carbon Trust website. I'm finishing in 5 minutes, Sally, don't fret. And this is 3 here afterwards, okay? Round figure. So you can see I'm saving 2.45 tons. Can you imagine 10 million homes like me, like mine? 100 million homes like mine. You're talking a significant figure here. You're talking about acres and acres of rainforests. You're talking about acidity in the oceans being prevented. You're talking about fisheries for the people who need to live on fish. The chain reaction of what I've done as an individual, if we multiply it by millions, is going to be quite significant. And believe it or not, we're going to do it, whether we like it or not, because the government is pushing us this way. There is no escape. There's no escape unless you want to go live in Barbados on the seaside. You live in a hut, you don't need air conditioning or solar energy. But yeah, you do need solar energy, just to give you a bit of to watch television. These are the pictures. Okay, this is from the back. This is from the back garden. This is from the front, and you can hardly see it because it's very high up. We didn't need planning permission because we live in sunny Edgware, and that's okay. If you get other barrows, check with your planning officer. And if you find somebody who's difficult, forget about him. Go to another one who's more understanding. Just about me, and that's it. And thank you very much.